to call the February 1st, 2024 Elk Ridge Town Council meeting to order. I'd like to open up with the invocation. The invocation tonight is going to be given by Mr. Michael Hansen. As you're able, please stand.
If you please bow your heads. Lord, I call for your promises to be continued to be fulfilled and blessings over the town council, the attendees, and the members of our community. I thank you for such a wonderful community to call home and the sacrifices you have made for us all. Bring wisdom and patience for those leading us, and that the community as a whole, we can show the love and respect that you have shown us. In your name, amen.
Amen. And lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Our first item is approval of the agenda. The one recommended suggestion is removing the reappointment of Gigi Williams as she's withdrawn her application. Otherwise, the agenda is as I just want to give you a heads up, the public trail easement hearing will be more likely tabled for a couple months because of some procedural issues. I'll explain that when we get there. So is there a motion to approve and amend the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Let's approve the minutes of the January 4th, 2024 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the 2024 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We do have a very impressive proclamation. We have the Northwest Guilford varsity cheer team and coaching staff here. So let me go ahead and read the proclamation, and then we can have some time for some pictures. Whereas the Northwest Guilford varsity cheer team and coaching staff have exhibited unparalleled dedication, perseverance, and skill in the realm of competitive cheerleading, and whereas their unwavering commitment to excellence has resulted in a series of remarkable achievements, solidifying their legacy as one of the most esteemed cheerleading programs in North Carolina, and whereas their illustrious journey includes 6 consecutive victories as state champions in the years 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, showcasing their exceptional talent, teamwork, and leadership. And whereas their prowess extends beyond state boundaries as evidenced by their triumphs at the Carolina Cup, claiming victory in 2018 and once again in 2021, further highlighting their dominance and mastery in the field of cheerleading. And whereas their crowning achievement, the pinnacle of their illustrious career, was realized when they secured victory at the National Cheerleading Association Championship in 2024, making history as the first team from North Carolina to achieve this esteemed honor. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, as Mayor of Oak Ridge, North Carolina, along with all the members of Town Council, do hereby extend highest commendation and heartfelt congratulations to the Northwest varsity cheer team and coaching staff for their unprecedented achievements and contributions to the world of cheerleading. May their legacy serve as an inspiration to further generations of athletes embodying the values of dedication, fair play, and perseverance, and may they continue to shine brightly as ambassadors of excellence in cheerleading. Great job, guys. And if you stand up here, face them. And if council will move in a little bit, we can get a nice picture. Come on in, Michael. All right.
How about that? Yep. Yeah, you can walk up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on up.
Get close, get some good pictures. It's an amazing accomplishment what you guys did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Hey, guys. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good luck with your future. And I understand you said you're only losing one senior? That's impressive.
About a
Excellent.
repeat. Thank you. Let's have a repeat. Maybe a three-peat.
All right. Do we have a report? Do we have a report from the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Yes.
He's
I don't
a-
know if he was
he's a
prepared to give it.
representative.
We're gonna find out.
Council.
Good evening.
Welcome.
So I'm Deputy Chief of School, Guilford County Sheriff's Office. And I'm here to give you the stats for January of 2024. For the month of January, the Sheriff's Office responded to a total of 147 calls for service in Oak Ridge town limits, resulting in 12 formal case reports. To be noted, we had multiple residential construction sites in the area targeted during the month for construction equipment and building materials. Investigations are still ongoing. On January 18th, a 21-year-old male employee of McDonald's was charged with larceny by employee after report he was stealing from the business. The bulk of the case originating out of Oak Ridge for the month were residents reporting they were victims of fraud. Pretty much different type of frauds we had were mostly the case. That's all I had for you guys.
All right, thank you
tonight.
so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Next, we have a report from the fire department.
Hey, I'm Devin Teague, firefighter EMT with Oak Ridge Fire Department. Responses this month are a total of 92. Lockouts, animal rescues, etc. were 47. False alarms, responses, so fire alarms and stuff like that, were 6. Brush fires, wildland fires were 1. Hazardous material responses, spills, leaks, etc. we had 2. Emergent medical responses and rescues, like pin-ins and stuff like that, we had 31. And structure fires, we had 5. And as always, I guess we give a safety tip. And this month, I want to say, if you're using space heaters, make sure you use a surge protector. So,
Thank you.
thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, originally we had public trail easement closing, public hearing, but due to a procedural error, not all the appropriate notifications were made. So in interest of making sure that those notifications are made, and also to give time for people to have discussions with the developer, with the neighborhood, the neighborhoods, and with the trail committees, the suggestion is that we put this off until May. And if all parties are okay with that, we will basically, do we table it basically?
We continue it.
Continue it or table it? Continue.
You would move to do a motion to continue the hearing and announce tonight the date and time for the rescheduled hearing.
Okay. So is there, okay. Is there a motion to continue this to suggested?
I move that we continue the public hearing for the trail easements to Thursday, March 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
March? We were suggesting May,
Oh, you're 2 months?
Yeah.
till May. And
Okay.
actually, I believe the developer would prefer May.
Okay.
Right. Rather than go, I think we've got intervening conflicts, and then the developer, the applicant, has a conflict for April. And it's an unalterable conflict involving family travel. So the
Okay.
accommodation, the first accommodation here is to the applicant itself. And then obviously it accommodates everybody else too, but that's what's driving the suggestion to go to May.
So I amend my own motion, I think I can do that, to continue the public hearing for the trail easement to Thursday, May 2nd at 7 PM here in Town Hall.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Again, this hopefully will give time for the developer, the neighborhood, and the trail committee to explore alternate easements, alternate routes for the easement. And then, like I said, we'll hear the case at our May meeting, and also the procedural errors will be corrected in the meantime. So with that said, is there any other comments?
Yeah, how do we help facilitate that? Because saying that we're providing time is just that, providing time. Is there something that the town council can do or staff can do to facilitate meetings with relevant parties? I mean, I'd like to have something a little bit more concrete than giving time for people to discuss.
Anyone else have
Well,
any?
I don't think that we can plan anything specifically because we don't have that on the agenda right now. We are simply continuing the hearing, and I think those conversations about specifics could happen.
Well, I think what Mayor Pro Tem Stone's asking is whether or not we can facilitate a meeting between the parties. Is that,
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't say that we wouldn't be able to. It's just that, like I said, it's just a matter of,
I mean, we can't determine that tonight.
no, but
But can we direct, let me just express it this way. Can we direct staff to contact the relevant parties and facilitate a meeting or meetings to discuss and consider alternatives, to talk about the conflicts, issues, whatever the case may be?
does staff have some suggestions
Councilman
here?
Stern, I think because the council will have to make a decision based on what it hears in a public hearing, it would be inappropriate to actually put the town in a position of more or less refereeing a situation before a hearing at which it actually has to make a determination. That doesn't mean town hall can't be available for such meetings. And in the case of rezonings or requirements where a developer has to reach out to owners, there's nothing to keep that kind of meeting from happening and from using town hall, the facilities here, for such a meeting. But I think it would be inappropriate for the town to actually be a sponsor of such, albeit well-intentioned meetings perhaps, to get people talking. In the end, council has to make a decision in a public hearing, and it should keep an objective position for that.
Okay.
I'm unaware of any, provision for doing this, as I understand the suggestion.
Yeah, please understand, it's just the intent of it. At the planning and zoning hearing, the two parties that came, the developer and the neighborhood, they were both in agreement. So the part that I was trying to think about, how can we facilitate, are those other parties, which I guess is part of the town as well. So I understand your point. I just think that we should be doing everything we can to remove barriers and build bridges and get folks talking to one another and things like that. So, but I take your counsel.
Any other comments, questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And like I said, we'll hear it in May, so thank you. The next case is a rezoning case, and our planning director, would you introduce that for us, Mr. Taylor?
I will, once I get over there. Before you tonight is a case brought to us by applicant Billy and Denise Canoy. The request is to rezone property from RS 30 residential and AG agricultural to conditional zoning RS 40 for portions of property addressed as 2835 and 2843 Oak Ridge Road. The location of this property is at 2835 and 2843 Oak Ridge Road. It's located on the north side of Oak Ridge Road, approximately 430 feet east of the intersection of Gray Fox Drive and Oak Ridge Road. All of this is within the Oak Ridge Township. The parcels are numbered as 162998 and 162999. The public was sent notification of this through advertisement in the newspapers, and all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property were notified by mailing as well. And within the community address, the community outreach, the applicant also mailed additional notices and conducted an open house here at Town Hall for this rezoning. This is a rezoning, the tract size for this rezoning is approximately 52.09 acres. The topography is lightly contoured, and vegetation is heavily wooded on the western half of the property. As you will notice under the site data, to the north and west, the properties adjacent to this are zoned ag, and to the south and east, the properties are zoned residential. There is a development condition with this being offered, and that is the total number of building lots shall not exceed 28. So this would be 28 lots on approximately 52 acres. Portions of this property are within the Scenic Core Overlay Zone. It is within the Greensboro General Watershed. Public water will not be available on this, so all lots will be served by individual well, and it will also be served by on-site septic. Landscaping requirements are going to be met through Article 9, Division 4 of our landscape ordinance, and tree conservation areas will be determined during our subdivision process. Street classifications for this development are Oak Ridge Road is considered a major thoroughfare, and Lachlan Drive is just a local street. And site access, this will have two entrances in. One will be off of Stove Street currently at Lachlan Drive, and also from Oak Ridge Road. The only traffic counts I could find close to this, these traffic counts were taken near the Oak Ridge Military Academy, so they probably don't reflect as well about the actual traffic around this location, but these do show 7,806 annual average daily traffic in that area. Sidewalks are not required for this, and also a traffic impact study is not required by the town of Oak Ridge. However, NCDOT may or may not require this. As I said earlier, there will be street connectivity to Lachlan Drive. With our impact analysis, this does meet objective 1.2 to recommend RS40 zoning for development on tracts outside the town core with marginal environmental, agricultural, historic, or community open space value. And with the comprehensive pedestrian plan that does show a proposed paved shoulder along Oak Ridge Road and a trail easement along the eastern portion of the property. Staff recommends, since the proposed request is consistent with the recommendations of the Oak Ridge Future Land Use Plan, staff recommend approval of the rezoning application. And also, the Planning and Zoning Board also recommends approval from this at their last Planning and Zoning Board meeting.
I understand someone from Planning and Zoning is here. Does Planning and Zoning have anything they'd like to add?
Jason Strack, Chair of Planning and Zoning. We met on January 25th for two public hearings, including this rezoning case, RZ 2401. Neighbors came out to express concerns about basic things like construction traffic, as far as like water drainage and that sort of thing from the development. The Planning and Zoning Board considered the staff's recommendation and the plan to rezone and voted unanimously to recommend approval to the board.
Thank you. Okay, and then we'll open up the public hearing. Our public hearings offer two 20-minute periods, one 20-minute for people that want to speak in support of the rezoning, 20 minutes for those that wish to speak in opposition, and then there's two 5-minute rebuttals for each side to offer rebuttals to the hearing. Any initial questions that council might want to ask of staff? Okay, again, town clerk will keep time, and 20 minutes for those that wish to speak in support of the rezoning. Please state your name and address when you come up.
Good evening. My name is Bill Greco with Land Solutions. My address is P.O. Box 347 in Oak Ridge. Speaking in favor of this application this evening, and part of a larger group, should this be approved, myself, Kevin Combs, and a local team, our most recent project comparable to this would be Pemberley, just to the east. I'd like to thank the staff for their assistance with the application. I'd like to thank the town for allowing us to use their facility to host our open house. On our application itself, recap a few things on that. On our uses, I think it's important to note, in addition to the CZ, we have limited it to single-family residential. A lot of people overlook the fact that a straight RS-40 zoning does allow a significant number of uses beyond single-family residential. So we've eliminated all those. All we're asking for is single-family residential. Our development conditions in terms of limiting the number of lots, while this proposed parcel's fairly unremarkable, we do have some buffers and some easements and some topography and some other things that are leading me from a design perspective to limit this. In addition to that, it's been our experience over our last several subdivisions in Oak Ridge. Usually with everyone, we have 2, 3 prospective buyers that would like just a little more acreage. So we will have a variety of lot sizes in here. The majority of them will be close to that 40,000 square feet, but we'll have a 10-acre lot. We'll have a couple 2-acre lots. So we'll have a mixture within. To catch you guys up, this seems like the grand finale. For myself, this has been a great process, starting with our open house. This room was full, standing room only, down both sides and across the back. Stonehenge, our neighbors, great group to work with. They did express their concerns, most of which were technical matters and further down the line in terms of planning. They do have valid points. We've done our absolute best to address those and have those discussions and do what we can at this stage to assure the folks that, number one, we hear their concerns. Secondly, I'll do all I can to address them. With that said, we've had a number of email exchanges, calls, so forth, so on. Laughlin Drive, the Stub Street, there's some history there. Some years ago, I forget the year, we did have a proposal for a swim and tennis club that was going to be accessed exclusively off of Laughlin Drive. Folks out there are still there and have long memories and good memories, and we talked about that at length. The one thing I assured them is this subdivision will connect to Laughlin Drive and it will go out to Highway 150. That's in accordance with not only our UDO, our land use plan, our thoroughfare plan. It's just good, solid planning practice. We certainly intend to do that. Gone over that with those folks at length. Construction traffic is one of their concerns. I have expressed that during the horizontal construction, which is the construction of the new streets and that infrastructure, we are 100% in control of that, and we will do our absolute best to make sure that none of our folks ever drive through Stonehenge for any reason. We've discussed some signage once we get going on the vertical, on the residential side. I can't control that. Delivery truck coming with materials or coming with appliances, it's an individual on a phone, GPS, trying to get somewhere. I can't manage that. but we'll do our best, and we certainly have got our numbers and contact information out there to the neighborhood. There are concerns about drainage, particularly the two homes at the end of Laughlin Drive. The topography does lend itself towards water will come that way. The most impacted lot does currently have a 60-foot drainage easement right through the middle of it. We're certainly aware of it. We think with good design, we won't add anything to that situation that would be negative. Certainly drainage easements are there for a purpose. We're just not that deep into the design as of yet because this is our first step. With all that said, I think we have a great application before you this evening. I would recognize one of the very few times I will say this in a hearing, all our neighbors in Stonehenge have been great folks to work with. We appreciate their engagement, their straightforwardness. It's been a great process on my side versus sometimes it goes a little differently. But we think we've got the staff report, the planning board. We believe we've heard and listened and understood to our neighbors' concerns. Land use plan, UDO, all those things line up, so we'd certainly appreciate your support in approval for this request. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Okay, if there's no one else that wants to speak in favor, we'll open up the 20-minute period for people that wish to speak in opposition. Please come up, state your name and address, and the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Deborah Sambala, and I live at 6698 Currington Drive in Oak Ridge, and this is not an opposition. I am secretary of the Stonehenge HOA, and I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with Bill and Kevin on the concerns that we have, and we are anxious and grateful that they are willing to work with us to solve the concerns.
All right,
That's all
thank you.
I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? If not, we'll close that. Since both sides did speak, technically there is time for rebuttal. Okay, so there's no rebuttal. So we'll close the period of, close the public hearing portion of it. We'll open it up for council comments and questions before we have a motion. Anyone have any questions to staff or to the developer that they'd like to ask before we have a motion?
I would like to ask a quick question of Sean, Mr. Taylor. I do see that there's a trail easement located on the plan. I assume that that was offered by the developer?
That doesn't come until the technical phase. This is just, the plan is it's on our pedestrian transportation plan shows a proposed easement. So we will work with the developer in requesting or asking for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, Sean, why no sidewalks? It's
On this
right?
It's a new development, but we don't require, only place where sidewalks are required are within our town core. So if you develop within our town core, sidewalks are required. So outside of that, it's not. But within our pedestrian transportation plan, it does show along Oak Ridge Road a paved shoulder for this.
Would that paved shoulder be on the opposite side of the street?
No, it'd be just within this small,
Oh, I'm sorry, paved shoulder.
Yeah.
I got you. Sorry. All right, thank you.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to approve or deny the rezoning?
I will make a motion to approve the zoning amendment, RS 30 and Ag to conditional zoning RS 40. I make a motion that the proposed amendment be approved based on the following. The Planning Board has provided the council with its written statement that the proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the council concurs and adopts the Planning Board's findings of consistency by reference. In addition, the report of the town staff finding the proposed zoning amendment to be reasonable is adopted by reference. and the report of the town staff finding the proposed zoning amendment to be in the public interest is adopted by reference.
The motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
With that, is there any discussion? Do you have any comments? You get the first go if you want.
This is a reasonable rezoning, and I see no reason to not deny it, and I am so happy to hear that the conversations with neighbors have gone well. I appreciate that on both sides.
Mr. Greason, any comments? Comments. Mr. Stone? Mr. Harton? No, I appreciate the outreach, and I have a long experience with Mr. Greco and Mr. Combs, so I know they will deliver on what they say. So with that said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, we now open the first session of public comment. If you have, you're welcome to speak on any topic. If you would like to speak, just come up, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Katie Savinelli. I live at 8528 Rosedale Drive. I recently wrote to the town council about the having the Banderas Farm trail easement, and my support of the trails is very strong. My husband and I have been living here for many years, love Oak Ridge and the fact that we have so much natural areas that we can go out and enjoy nature, and also it's good for health, public health, and that type of thing. In all seriousness, if where I was living today, if there was a trail that was going to be put behind my house, I would be more than happy to support it. The only reason why I won't move near a trail is because I've spent the last 23 years planting flowers and pollinator gardens, so I've spent way too much time developing the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Lindsay Clark, 6816 Koala Drive. One to note that, if you don't have a trail easement, just wait. They might put one in your backyard anyways. Sorry, adjacent to your backyard. Anyways, I know the hearing was postponed for this evening, but I did have a few comments just for the council to hear. In addition to all the ordinances and policies that the town failed to adhere to for the Ashford easement procurement, of which the council has been directly notified, now we have found that the town failed to follow proper protocols for holding the public hearing on the easement removal. Due to the unauthorized and unprecedented Ashford easement, I and others have had to retain an attorney, pay significant legal fees, spend countless hours researching and coordinating our defense, showing up to hearings and meetings when we are the innocent bystanders in this whole mess. I will now be back here again at the next scheduled hearing date when this whole situation may be made right by respecting the town ordinances, the adopted plans that you all love to reference so often, and respecting the residents of Oak Ridge by removing this easement. In the meantime, honestly, I'll continue to lose sleep and go through this living nightmare that the town has created. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Time for like the tree committee report?
Excuse me?
Tree committee report for public comment?
No, not now. I mean, unless you need to leave. If you need to leave, you can do it.
Eric Strimple, 8201 Banneker Road. I've been here since 2002. I walk in this park every single day. Terry does a fantastic job with this park. But can I give y'all some advice? It's called synthetic grass. Before y'all even put grass on those two fields back there, I know y'all got some money. The maintenance and the wear and tear on these fields, you can't keep up. I've been in the travel baseball world for 10 years. We get to play in January, February, March on synthetic fields. Hopefully Guilford County Schools is getting ready to put synthetic fields in. I know they did, Page High School did one. Is there any way possible you guys can look at that? I've talked to Terry. I walk by his house all the time. He's a great guy. I don't understand why we don't have any money for that. We're putting all this money in parks. Why can't we look at that? You guys are missing out. Not to agree. You guys are missing out on travel baseball tournaments every weekend, soccer tournaments, lacrosse tournaments, because I understand grass is great, but the synthetic field turf, and despite what you hear about it, is great. So I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree with you guys. Mr. Bruce, I hope there's got to be some money somewhere for synthetic fields. I mean, y'all, can we really look at that seriously? I mean, we're spending $600,000. I'm a builder. We're spending $600,000 on this house over here. I get it. I understand it. Know where you're coming from. But we tried. I know they put ryegrass in this field over here this year to try to get it to come up. It's starting to come up a little bit. But if you put synthetic fields, made the baseball field synthetic, and added at least 1 or 2 more baseball fields, you guys would be booked every weekend. I'm serious. You would be booked every weekend because there's not enough fields around here. I've been with USSSA, Perfect Game. They got it going, and Oak Ridge would be a great place. These merchants here would love it. Every weekend you would be booked. So I would hope you guys would at least, my words don't, I was walking in the park tonight, and that's why I was like, well, I'm going to come over here and say my piece, and I'll talk to him. He said, come to a meeting and tell him. I don't, y'all are new. That's great. Change is great. But I would hope you guys would look, is there a way possible here? Can somebody say something to just look at it?
Typically, we don't answer at this point.
Okay, but I hope you would look.
But we're listening, we're listening.
Please, before you even put grass on these two, I mean, there's still time, I would assume.
The grass has already been planted.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway.
But no, we hear you.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening. Kevin Brecka, 6819 Koala Drive, Oak Ridge. Good evening. Just briefly, just picking up on the discussion that was raised, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mike Stone. On behalf of Bear Creek, as the HOA president, we are certainly interested in opportunities that may exist with the Mountain to Sea and with the council and with the staff to have an opportunity to understand exactly what are all the factors that have led them to this point where they are seeking this easement. We certainly are here and going to be prepared as we continue on here or in the next meeting in May to present why it is we think that there are significant issues in order to bridge that issue and however else we can move forward. Our message is on behalf of Bear Creek HOA that we are prepared to look at the facts, understand the alternatives, and would hope that those who are in the best position, Mountain to Sea and the Oak Ridge staff, can identify how this can best be done so that this community or any community in Oak Ridge is not put in a position where all the concerns and difficulties that we're going through are the way that citizens of Oak Ridge have to go. We think we're a better town than that. We think we're a wonderful town, but this experience has certainly tested that, and we're hoping that we can find a way, and we do seek each of you to come out to our neighborhood and certainly understand so that we're not dealing with studies from other places or opinions about what could be, and you can see the realities of what this trail actually looks like in our neighborhood. So I'm thankful that I have had the mayor already come do that. It was very productive and really appreciated that. And I just hope that everyone will seek that same approach because I do think we're a rational group, we're an understanding group, and our hope is that there's going to be a good solution here that will allow Mountain to Sea be well represented in the town of Oak Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I'll give you this.
You.
Michael Logan, 5202 Rambling Road, District 3 School Board member. What I handed you was the 2019 bond plan, the projects, and I brought you an update of where we are on those projects. If you will flip to the backside, you will see that is what the $2 billion is going to give us. at this time. My goal with the school system has always been to get the public involved. I need the public, and I need the municipalities of Oak Ridge, Stokesdale, Summerfield to get involved. We need a voice on the school board. We need the public involved for our area. Now, I will say, within the last round of deferred maintenance, there will be some money going to Oak Ridge for the HVAC. They do seem to be going towards the land purchase for Northwest Middle School, but at this time, if you'll notice, there is no money allotted for it. So we may be able to get the land in this purchase, but unless we find money, we will not have money for the school itself. So I want to keep you updated on that. And one other thing I did want to make clear with the community, visits by political candidates at schools. Policy is visits by political candidates, their representatives, or their supporters to Guilford County school campuses made for the purposes of soliciting votes, promoting political platforms or partisan issues, making political contacts, or advancing in whole or in part their candidacy through other means shall not be permitted during school hours or after school hours, during school-sponsored activities or events. Furthermore, such visits shall not be permitted during the hours of operation at any other Guilford County Schools facilities. There is an exception to that rule. The exception to that policy is will be permitted if school or facility invites the candidates of all parties for the same office or offices, and the principal or the superintendent or superintendent's designee has approved such invitation. Invitation will be extended to all candidates sufficiently in advance of the designated event or activity to allow each candidate the opportunity to make preparations to attend. With that being said, I had a number of complaints over campaign literature in a fundraiser. That is not right. We do not need politics within our schools. Our schools are for education. It is not for politics. Our students deserve better. And I just want to say thank you for the job y'all are doing, and thank you for what y'all are doing. And please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns over that. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Oops. We'll get to you, George.
All right, George. Jonathan DeLine, 7796 Polar Drive, Oak Ridge, North Carolina. So I just want to, following on what Kevin had said, I want to, thank you, Jim, for coming out. And I know you came out and took a look early on. I think that is productive conversation. And understanding we're moving this off until May, one of the things that I would like to propose specifically so that it's never too late to do the right thing. So if we put ourselves in a position to win in May, I think that we need to find out what some of those alternatives could be, and we need the resources. So I would ask one of you to make a motion for the Park and Rec Committee to take a look at what some alternatives could be to this easement. We all are pro-trail, want trails. We just don't want them where they're disruptive and existing, adjoining to neighborhoods that are existing and where it's, privacy, safety, et cetera, things we brought up. So what I don't want to do is I would prefer not to come here in May and just have the same wait 3 months and then have the same sort of sentiment. I think we do need help in getting creative, because if it's up to myself, and I'm speaking on behalf of the homeowners, this is not our area of expertise, but we're very passionate about helping and trying to, create ideas that would work and solve problems. We're problem solvers. We want to come to the table and do that. But I think you all are going to have to make a motion for the Park and Recs to follow kind of the ordinances that are existing for trails in Oak Ridge, and have a look at it between now and then. And we will assist as much. We're willing to put time, effort, money, resources, and things behind doing the right thing here. It's never too late to do that. I'm asking for that to happen, because it kind of strikes me. I also want to thank you for realizing and having some empathy with the situation in my backyard as well as others. and the offer to put a fence and privacy up, I think that I will take you up on that if this does go through. There's no doubt. And I will go on record saying I appreciate that, because it is not an ideal location for our house and what we had as privacy. But I think that says so much. Instead of building fences, we should be building bridges across these communities. So let's come together and see if we can't find something in the next 3 months that's better than this. And as Kevin said, I think we can do better than this. We just need a little leadership. We're willing to show up. We're willing to do, volunteer our time. And instead of just losing sleep over this, I think we can get productive around this if we can get some people with some background, expertise, history here, what's available, and try to solve some problems. So thank you.
Thank you. One more and then you go, George. You'll get there, George.
Good evening. My name is Tamika Goss. I am a resident of Guilford County. I don't know if I need to give my address. I don't live in Oak Ridge. But I'm also a candidate for, do I need to do that?
Yes, we need your address.
3000 Campfire Court, Jamestown. I am a candidate for a district court judge. I've been licensed to practice in North Carolina for 18 years. And for the past 13 years, I've operated my own law practice in Guilford County. The judge that I'm filing in her seat, she's retiring. So I'm filing to be the replacement for that judge, and certainly the judge for the entire county, so all citizens of Guilford County. I have been married for 19 years. My husband, Marcus Goss, is the principal of Dudley High School. I have 2 teenage children who attend Guilford County schools. I volunteer in the community. I do free consultations through the Women's Resource Center. I do mentoring, job shadowing opportunities I offer through my office. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I'm the vice president of PTSA over at Southwest. My son is a 10th grader. And so just wanted you all to be aware that my name will be on the ballot for the primary. Early voting starts February the 15th through March the 2nd, and primary day is March the 5th. But the importance to me is that in doing this campaigning, I'm realizing that a lot of people do not vote to the bottom of the ballot. Judges are on the bottom of the ballot, but we're just as important as any other elected official on the ballot. A lot of people look at district court judges as, well, I don't go to court, I'm not a criminal, but district court judges handle civil cases, child support, child custody, domestic violence. So there are other issues that district court judges touch on beyond criminal. So I really want to make this statement important for you all, that you vote to the bottom of the ballot. You do your research on candidates, all candidates, and get the insight as to what their experience is and what they're doing for the community, because I think it's also important for judges to have an impact on the communities that they serve outside of the work that they do as an attorney. So I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. George, sorry.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm George McClellan. I live at 2806 Oak Ridge Road, Oak Ridge, North Carolina. I just want to say, even though I'm disappointed about the necessary to postpone the public hearing on the trail easement, I understand completely, and I do respect that you all made, when you found out there was an error, that you made the correction so that we can have a good public hearing. Now, needless to say, I support the MST. I support the trails. I have absolutely no problem with the fact that a developer did agree to a easement on his property during the rezoning process. And I think our town staff has done an outstanding job during that process. And I want to thank y'all very much. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? With that, we'll close the first session of public comments, and we'll turn to the town manager for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Several items for you this evening. The first is a request to reappoint several members of the Finance Committee, and I'll just do all 4 with one report. John Jenkins and Paul Kress, reappointed to 2-year terms, and in order that we don't have 4 members' terms expiring at the same time next cycle, we're proposing staggered terms and 1-year terms for Edie Bryant and the alternate Danielle Walraven.
Okay, you've heard the request from the town manager. Is there a motion to approve these reappointments?
I make a motion that we approve the reappointments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. And Mayor Pro Tem Stone will serve as the council liaison to the Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, request to reappoint Michael Bell to the Board of Adjustment.
Is there a motion to reappoint Michael Bell to the Board of Adjustment?
I move that we reappoint Michael Bell to Board of Adjustment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The next request is a consideration to approve Resolution 2024-02, which would add Gumwood Road Extension to the North Carolina State Maintenance System.
Is that it? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the addition of Gumwood Road?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Thank you. The next request is for some guidance from Town Council regarding the continuing agreement with the United States Geological Survey for the monitoring well that's located behind Town Hall. Since 2008, the town of Oak Ridge has participated in a joint funding agreement with USGS for a groundwater monitoring well that's located behind Town Hall. The town contributes 100% of the cost of the well monitoring, which historically amounted to approximately $5,000 per year, but now in the most recent annual renewal has risen to $6,600 per year. The data that's collected by the USGS is combined with data from other wells in the region and in the state to create an historical record of groundwater levels. The data is available on the USGS website, but frankly, in its raw form, has had little practical value for staff and presumably for the citizens of Oak Ridge who, to staff's knowledge, have never requested access to the data, even though we've had a link on our website for many years. Furthermore, most wells in Oak Ridge are hundreds of feet deep in the fractured rock, so slight variations in the groundwater level, which are typically 20 feet or so below the surface, are difficult to interpret for us in any meaningful way. The funding agreement follows the federal fiscal year, so when we approve the agreement, typically this time of year or a little bit before, the actual invoice is not sent until the following town fiscal year. So I'm asking for guidance from council whether you wish to renew that agreement with the USGS, and if so, we'd include that funding in next year's budget.
Is there a motion to consider approving or denying continuing the agreement to pay for the well?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we end our contract and services for the USGS well.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just think it's reasonable at this point. Even last time we considered this, we were kind of on the fence, but we went ahead with it, thinking that we were doing some good. But I think with the price going up, it doesn't make any sense. And as the town manager has pointed out, there really isn't much use to this at this point.
And any other comments?
Just a question.
Yes,
I mean, I understand that it hasn't been of benefit to Oak Ridge. Who was it beneficial to?
I think primarily the USGS.
Okay. And if we're not participating, how are they impacted?
They'll find another location.
Good.
And with us moving toward having our own water system, I mean, one of the reasons I was in favor of it was a piece of data that would help us, maybe predict where our well waters and things like that were going and what the condition of the water underneath the ground was. But as we're moving toward a water system, the benefit of it, I'm struggling with it myself too. So, all right, the motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next item is just a brief presentation of data that's been collected through the Haw River Road radar sign. As Town Council likely recalls, the town installed a permanent digital radar sign on Haw River Road in response to several tragic accidents that happened on that road over the last few years. We installed the sign back in July of 2023 along a 45-mile-per-hour stretch of Haw River Road. We turned on the sign and began collecting data on August 3rd of last year. I will say that the reporting for this particular software is very cumbersome. We've been working with the staff at Radar Sign to improve the data analysis that comes along with the raw data that's provided. But I just want to provide a few snapshot bullet points just to illustrate trends along the road over the between August and December. The average daily speed in August of 2023 was 41 miles per hour, keeping in mind this is a 45 mile per hour zone. Average speed in December was 44 miles per hour. In August, 17% of cars exceeded the speed limit by 5 miles or more over the speed limit. That number increased just slightly to 19% in December. In August, 176 vehicles who were speeding over 5 miles per hour above the speed limit slowed their speed down to below the speed limit upon seeing the sign. And we know that because it takes measurements at 2 different locations. In December, 191 vehicles slowed down enough that they were no longer speeding after they came within visibility of the sign. There is some indication that the radar sign has calmed traffic. We're continuing to understand how to interpret that data, and we'll continue to do that over the next 6 months. Radar sign has recommended, however, that we turn the sign off essentially into stealth mode for a month so that speeds are not displayed. However, the sign continues to collect data. And it's a way for us to sort of set a baseline for folks that are assuming that their speed's not being monitored. And we'll be able to set a baseline at that point. And when we turn the sign back on, we can see what kind of effect the sign has moving forward. So that's a recommendation from staff. I don't know that council needs to vote on that, but if there are any objections, I'm certainly willing to entertain that.
Any comments, objections to how staff is proceeding with the process? Thank you. It's very interesting. So, any other business?
I do have 3 other items that I'd like to share with council. Give me a moment and I'll find my notes. First, I would like to provide an update on the NCDOT project at 68 and 150. The engineering team at NCDOT has advised us that the project is still available to begin construction on March 15th. However, they have not yet held a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, and they are waiting on several utilities to continue their work to move utilities out of the new right-of-way. So that being said, it is very unlikely that we'll have a March 15th start date. It's more likely a late spring start at this point. There will be several pedestrian detours on the sidewalks as construction moves forward. There will always be at least one entry and exit into both shopping centers. That's Oak Ridge Marketplace and Oak Ridge Commons. There will be times when there's one of entrances to each of those shopping centers will be closed and traffic will be detoured. There will always be at least one lane open on 68 and 150. Both lanes we were assured would be open during the school rush in the mornings and in the afternoons. There will be a time when Linville Road may be closed between Bojangles and 68. There will be a detour for traffic in those circumstances. So as we continue to get more information, we'll continue to share. Once we have a start date, we'll share that on social media so that folks know what impacts to expect moving forward.
Thank you.
Secondly, I do have a request to establish a new restricted fund for Phase 2 of the Veterans Honor Green. We recently received a $5,000 donation specifically for Phase 2. That's the boardwalk section that council agreed to not fund in the most recent construction contract. We do not have a restricted fund for Phase 2. I'm asking council to set that up. If you choose not to move forward with Phase 2, the donor would be notified. We'd either return that money or it could be used for another purpose with the donor's permission. It's a request from council to establish the restricted fund for Phase 2.
So we need to have the motion for that. All right. You've heard the request from the town manager. Is there a motion to approve setting up the restricted fund?
I make a motion to establish a restricted fund for Phase 2 of the Veterans Honor Green.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm going to vote for it, but the concern that I have is, and I'm just going to use an old Baptist thing. You set up designated funds for the green Christmas tree, and then there's one for the blue Christmas tree, and there's one for the pipe organ. Somebody wants a piano instead of a pipe organ, and you get into this creep thing. I don't like setting up funds specific for projects, but that being said, as Bill points out, if we get to a point and we don't decide to move forward with it, then it can either be returned or it can be reassigned based on the person that gives it. That gives me the comfort that goes, okay, we can just move forward with it.
Any other comments, discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else?
That's all this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. New business. Consideration and approval of the interlocal agreement with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utilities. Back to you.
Yes, sir. In your packets is the proposed interlocal agreement with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utility Commission for the sale of water to the town of Oak Ridge. The Water Advisory Committee has reviewed multiple drafts of this agreement over the last 6 months and recommends the attached agreement for town council's approval. The agreement authorizes the sale of up to 350,000 gallons of potable water for the town's distribution and use. The town will be subject to the commission's wholesale rate of $517, plus approximately $3.60 per 1,000 gallons. This is a competitive rate, a competitive wholesale rate that is far below what the retail rate is. The Utility Commission would install a meter at the line's current terminus on NC 150 at the county line, at which point the town would access with a 12-inch water main that's currently under design to deliver water to customers along NC 150 and to the proposed elevated tank behind Town Hall. Additional infrastructure, including backflow prevention and a future booster pump station, will be required and is also under design. Hydrants will be spaced at, my memo says 1,000 feet, but it's actually 800-foot intervals along the length of the line as well for fire department access. If approved, the town must commence using water within 4 years, after which time, if the town has not begun the use of water, the agreement would automatically terminate without penalty. The agreement further requires the payment of a one-time reserve capacity fee of $224,000, which reserves the town's maximum daily allowance throughout the agreement's 30-year term. This fee must be paid within the same 4-year timeframe. These are revised terms. I'll remind council that those are revised terms that were not in the previous draft that was distributed to council, and they're much more favorable to the town. The agreement has been reviewed and approved for legal sufficiency by Town Attorney Thomas, and I appreciate his very helpful comments and work with the legal team at the Utility Commission to ultimately have the final draft that's before you this evening. So it's staff's request to approve the attached interlocal agreement with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utility Commission.
I just want to clarify, if we don't hook up, we don't pay the money.
That's correct.
Okay, so we don't have to pay it ahead of time. We only pay it if we hook up.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me clarify. We do have to pay regardless. What was the
224,000.
224.
That's been changed, so we only have to pay it if we hook up.
We have 4 years to pay that fee. If we never hook up, then we never pay.
Okay. So is our plan to not pay until we hook up?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I'd recommend waiting on that till the last possible minute.
That's all I was trying to clarify.
Yes.
And Mr. Thomas reminded me to point out that there is an addendum in your packet that just clarifies that the actual meter vault location is flexible, whether it's on the Guilford County or Forsyth County line. That was a sort of finer legal point that was worked out over the last few days.
That was requested Tuesday. And I worked out with the attorney for the commission Tuesday, mutually acceptable language, which basically says the meter goes where the engineers say it needs to go. it's probably going to be on the Guilford County side of the line within about 100 feet of the county line on property owned by the town, not in the NCDOT right-of-way, which actually council thought, and we were able to correct that. It's going to be on the town's property. But it's their meter, and they have to have access to it. So I think we came up with a reasonable solution with that revised language.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the request. Is there a motion to approve or deny the interlocal agreement?
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between the town of Oak Ridge and the city of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there an discussion? Mr. Hart, you made the motion, so you're welcome to start the
Yeah,
conversation.
I've spent a lot of time with this contract during my term on the Water Advisory Committee. I commend Bill and our town lawyer, Mr. Thomas. If you saw the beginning of this document to where it is today, this is significantly a much improved document. It is far thinner, more certainly a simplified document that really gets to the point. No document is perfect, but this one has come a long way. So, yeah. So it's come a long way, and I think there's been a lot of work done by our team, but also I think Winston-Salem has learned a lot in the process, and this will probably become their future standard document as they approach other towns. As far as the $270,000, whatever the amount was, I can't remember specifically, but that's a fee that guarantees us water for the future should we move forward.
Mr. Greason?
No comments.
Mr. Stone?
No comment.
Ms. Snyder?
I do agree, it's come a long way. I'm proud of the work that we did on this, and I was a part of it when it was really a mess. So this is fantastic. It's great news. It's an exciting step for our town. Thank you.
I don't have anything to add to that. So with that, the motion's been made and second. Is there, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Carries. We have a meeting schedule revision we have to cover. Is that something you'd like to talk to us about?
Yes, the Town of Oak Ridge 2024 meeting schedule has a date and time for the CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan Workshop. That time has been moved from 2 p.m. to 11 a.m. on February the 14th. That's the only adjustment to the schedule.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the amended meeting schedule?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're carried. Anything else? Oh, that's never mind. Monthly financial update.
Give us that. Is that it, or is it a different one?
It's
No.
different.
Okay.
The actual text print for a number
Perfect.
came in late this afternoon.
Okay.
So rather than try to clog up the staff right at closing time,
Thank you, Sam.
With the cycle of closing and everything at the county, I was actually kind of surprised they came in this afternoon. I was really expecting tomorrow. But that's the updated finance officer's report. Overall, for this time of year, still a strong position. They are getting on down with this. We got 100,896.39, and property taxes, motor vehicle taxes of 8,725.14, total of 109,621.53. and that's all the collections through yesterday. So they really dialed it in pretty good. You received a copy of the monthly financial statements. The opinion letter is on the front. We're holding a strong balance sheet position as is normal. Then you've got the budget to actual showing the income and expenditures. And then, of course, the normal schedules with assets and depreciation, the truest loan, and then the 2 pages on the Water Enterprise Fund. So we had a fairly busy January. I'll get my papers here. We talked about the ACH. For the month, normal sales and property tax. We also received interest for January, which I always post late. ABC distributions, which was well over $100,000. It was extremely large distribution. So we're almost up to the budget already. So I expect we will actually probably exceed the budgeted number for that by the time the next quarter comes in. I had special events. I had some receipts on various things. Donations to the Veterans Honor Green came in. We were monitoring our investments. We're still working on those rates. Staff work with grant compliance, supporting the ARPA, the SCIF grants. That's just ongoing along with the water. The OGC 203 was filed. That's a collateralization of deposits where we have to report every 6 months where the money's at, how the bank that's holding the money is collateralizing it, and all that went in. So basically, it's just a lot of number crunching, and then a few documents have to be attached. They do review them and go through them. The other was the TR2. This is annual property tax values report. Guilford County's new replacement for Jim Rowland is taking over, and she did an extremely good job, got those documents out to us. Anymore, they've made it extremely easy on me in that we simply have to transcribe the reports from the county. They give us every number that the state needs on that report. So really, really good quality customer service on that. I don't have to do any fancy calculations. The last couple items, I have a request to approve the amended audit contract for work that exceeds the scope of the original contract for GASB 96 compliance on all software contracts and the correction of some minor software errors in the opening balances. The differential in fee I neglected to put in there is $3,455. And this was necessary in order to bring us in compliance with, the majority of it was with GASB 96. And I say these words, GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, Proclamation 96. They identify areas of concern, and this one was one of the larger ones, although it fails me as a CPA to get very, very concerned about licensing and whether or not the software contracts and licenses should be capitalized as an asset, tracked and depreciated, or whether it's a subscription service and you simply write it off as an expense. Almost all software has gone to subscription, but depending on the terms, every software contract that we have and every term sheet that we have on every piece of software that the town uses had to be evaluated. And it exceeded the expectations on the averages they use when putting together the quote on scope of services. That's the main part of this. And Bill, we had to go back and find, in some cases, because the on some of the smaller pieces of software, you just don't get a packet like you used to in the old days. And Jim, you're nodding. I know you remember when we used to get the disc and we actually owned our software. The stuff is online. And so we had to go back and not just what was there, but what the current itineration is of that on the renewals and those kinds of things. So it was a rather large piece of work. I'm asking for amendment to that audit contract. The audit contract is, in fact, a state document. The original was signed when we did the original audit, and this is pursuant to the terms under the contract where they can amend if they exceed scope. Michael Thomas has been copied on all of this and has reviewed it, and his opinion was that it is a legitimate request and sufficiently documented, and that it was a necessary part of completing the required annual audit that all municipalities must complete. So That's my one request on that. And then the only other request that I have is if you would be so gracious as to re-sign the engagement letter, because in accordance with my professional ethics, our firm name changed effective January 1, and we're going through the transition period. And part of that transition is all ongoing work that's under an engagement letter as of transfer date of the firm has to be re-signed with the new firm's name on top of the letterhead. So all the terms are the same, the numbers are the same. It's just that it needs to be logoed with Andrews and Barrow CPAs PC now instead of my former firm name. So that's just a bit of housekeeping brought about by the State Board of CPA Examiners.
Okay. How do we have to word the motion for your amended contract? Do we have to include any numbers or anything?
For the new firm name?
No, just for the authorizing the contract with the amendment of the audit contract.
What do you call the,
It's LGC 205 amendment to contract to audit accounts is the proper name.
motion to approve that and just reference that name?
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on his request? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right.
Amendment to contract to audit accounts. Every one of these forms has a very professorial sounding name.
And now we need a motion to accept the finance officer's report.
Make a motion that we accept the finance officer's report as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for a wonderful time.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we're moving into committee reports. We asked the committee reports to limit themselves to about 3 minutes. I don't think the Finance Committee would have anything to say at the moment. Water Advisory Committee?
They did not meet.
Did not meet. Historic Preservation Commission? Did not meet. Planning and Zoning? They heard the two cases, that the easement and also the rezoning, so I don't think there's anything. Mountain to Sea Trail? This is going quick. Conservation easement?
no,
I'm
she's here.
sorry. I'm sorry. Usually you pop up quick.
Good evening. Ann Steele, 8927 Grove Park Drive. Mountains to Sea Trail Committee Chair. The committee met at Town Hall on Tuesday, January 23rd. A report was given about downed trees and other maintenance for the Headwaters Trail. A plan was put into place to resolve those issues. Also, due to the ongoing concern about excessive rain and erosion near portions of the Headwaters Trail, we continue to monitor the situation after every heavy rainstorm. We have discussed several ideas for temporary and long-term solutions to remedy the issues, and we will continue to make improvements as needed. A member of our committee, Mike Kimmel, has been working on a proposal to have a small kiosk installed at the town park. This structure would be a smaller version of the kiosk, which is at the Headwaters Trailhead on Linville Road. The reason for the kiosk at the park would be to provide information about local trails and how they connect, as well as some information about the MST campsite at the park. We also envision using the back side of the kiosk to post information about upcoming events in town. We continue to discuss the trails at Carriage Cove. Currently, we have a potential trail flagged that we are looking forward to roughing in once schedules allow for a workday. In that location, there are several areas that will require a bridge to cross the creek, and I've been informed that all of the bridges have been spoken for by scouts looking to build them for their Eagle Scout projects. We are so thankful for our local scouts and the work they do to enhance our trails. Very lucky. If anyone is interested in joining our committee to attend meetings or build trail or both, please contact me or let someone at Town Hall know. All the information can be found on the town website.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. Conservation easement?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Farrell, and I live at 5839 Billet Road. As the chair of the Conservation Easement Committee, I'm here to provide an update from our January meeting. The committee met on January 17th in Town Hall. During the meeting, we recapped the status of the 5 current properties that have shown interest in pursuing conservation easements. Of those 5, 1 is in the initial stages of information gathering about the easement process. A committee member and Sean are going to try and set up a meeting to discuss the process. 1 of the properties has been in ongoing discussions and is making decisions about how to move forward, and discussions will continue. 1 property, the Alma Blaylock property at 8250 East Harrell Road, is on hold pending a grant to Piedmont Lane Conservancy from the state. That grant did not rate highly during the budgeting process in the legislature, so we're in a wait and see about that. The town of Oak Ridge did participate in that grant by offering a letter of support. 2 properties, the Jack Blaylock property at 2150 Beeson Road and the Nidoff property at 1815 Oak Ridge Road, are moving towards submitting applications to the town for the core grant initiative managed by the Conservation Easement Committee. We're very excited that we're moving forward to potentially placing conservation easements on these properties and protecting them from future development. I realize that this may be a bit confusing for the new members on our council who've not been part of the process of developing this program in the committee. We look forward to sharing a general information presentation of the mission and goals of the Conservation Easement Committee during the April Town Council meeting. In the meantime, we welcome you to join us at our next meeting, which is scheduled for February 21st at 1 p.m. here in the Town Hall. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
What time?
1 o'clock.
Okay. Special events? And Patty gets a bonus 1 minute. Patty gets a bonus 1 minute.
I'm sure. Patty Domchowski, 7320 Hidden View Drive. We held our 25th anniversary volunteer dinner last Saturday night, an amazing event with over 100 people attending. Special Events Committee did an outstanding job with all the decorating, food, local desserts, slideshow, speakers on volunteering, and a trip down Oak Ridge Memory Lane. We rounded out the evening with music from a terrific local jazz band, HR department. Special thanks to town staff, Sandra, Ashley, and Genevieve, for all their behind-the-scenes work. It was very much appreciated. Our veterans, we continue to receive donations, which is terrific. I've been working on reconciling our 23-24 budget. It's good shape, and have asked the committee for input on our 24-25 budget. The committee has started to work on securing participants for the Light of the Night on Saturday, December 7th, and our next event will be on Memorial Day on Monday, May 27th. Any questions, comments?
Great job on the dinner. It was a great job.
Great committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Tree Committee.
Evening. I'm Austin Goldman, 5403 Burial Ridge Court, Oak Ridge, and co-chairman of the Tree Committee. The Tree Board met this morning, and we discussed ongoing maintenance needs of the 3 pine plots owned by the town. A forester from the North Carolina Forest Service came out in December, took photos, 2 of the pine plots with 2 members of the committee, and at this time, we noted that no intervention was needed, and the trees are in good condition. There is 1 tree in Town Park, a gum tree that is dying, and the tree committee recommended and voted that it be removed by park staff. We will host a free tree pruning workshop at Town Park in late February to early March with the Guilford County Extension Service. Town Park staff and the public will be invited. The date for this will be available in the next few days. We will ask town staff to post the details on social media and when they are finalized. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you. It's good news about the pines being in good health. Parks and Rec.
Good evening, John Garrett. I live at 8604 Broomfield Road in Oak Ridge. I'm here to represent the Oak Ridge Parks and Recreation and Board and give you the activity report for January of this year. Our January meeting was held the 19th, and it was held in person and electronically via Zoom. During that meeting, we held an election for the chair and vice chair. John Browning and Adrian Eckenrod were elected as co-chairman. We reviewed and selected a frozen drink vendor, which is real popular at sporting events in the park, and also some of the other events, and selected Kona Ice, which we've had in the past years as our primary vendor, but we've also selected a local frozen drink vendor to the moon and back as for auxiliary events such as Heritage Day and Music in the Park. We approved a project by the Boy Scouts Troop 779. This is a really interesting project to install 5 pollinator hotels for honeybees, bumblebees, flies, and beetles. And those of us that walk the park appreciate those insects. As long as they stay away, and that was one of our criteria, we approved this project, assuming that they would select locations where it wouldn't interfere with pedestrians, play areas, picnic shelters within the parks. Decision was made to duplicate signage in Heritage Farm Park as we have in the town park. We updated each year, the board selects projects that we provide to the town council to consider during the CIP process. And we selected 11 different projects that would be for you to consider for the next 5-year budget plan. Each member individually prioritized the list. I just give you an idea how the process was done. Each one of the board members selected their top 11 in order. We scored those and tallied those in a cumulative score and ranked them. The top 3 projects I thought I'd give you, rather than go through all 11, would be a security system in Oak Ridge Town Park and Heritage Farm Park. And I know you're aware that the county has made money available for this project. Second priority is enhance AV and network technologies in Oak Ridge Town Park and Heritage Farm Park. That sounds a little nebulous, but what our thinking was that we really need to back up just a little bit and take a broader scope view of what is really needed so that when we do spend the money, if we do spend the money on the camera system, that we build a system that is expandable throughout all the park, rather than just buy cameras and then say a year later, whoa, I wish we had done something a little broader. So that's what the second item is. Third is shade structures in Oak Ridge Town Park. Next to last item we did during the meeting was begin planning on the grand opening for Heritage Farm Park. There'll be much more coming on that during the February meeting. And Music in the Park is under, for this year, there's 5 bands that have committed. We're just looking for one more commitment. Anything else? Any questions for me, please?
Thank you, and thank you for your time as co-chair.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, community organization reports, Youth Association, Military Academy. Do you have anything? And the ABC Board with a record amount of money.
Jim Barbary, 7903 Quiet Place, Oak Ridge. So our sales were level for last quarter, over last year. They would have been up, except December was slow. This is traditional when your Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve fall on Sunday. So every time that happens, we have a slow December. Just as interest, we had a crash. This seems to be recurring anymore. We had a crash into our Louisville store where somebody ran into the front of the store. Nobody was hurt. They were charged, so their insurance covers it. We had a break-in at our Northwest Boulevard store. The ABC Board Police, I don't know if you know, we have a police department within the ABC Board. They are investigating it, and at this point, they think they know who it is, but they're looking to get, they don't really have any hard evidence as to who this person is, even though they know who it is. But he only got 8 bottles of Hennessy, so it's not really that bad. I don't even like cognac. So, and as Sam said, our distribution was a new record at $109,555. Any questions?
No? Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And elementary school?
This time of night.
Okay. All right, we now have our second period of public comment. 3 minutes, come up. You're welcome to speak about any subject. State your name and address, and the floor is yours. 3 minutes. Yes?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm George McClellan, 2806 Oak Ridge Road, here in Oak Ridge, North Carolina. I just want to say thank you so much for voting for the interlocal agreement for the water system. This is truly a momentous event for our town, a major step forward. I look forward to when the ground starts being broke for the tower as well as for the pipes. And Jim, I want to thank you personally for the hard work that you've been doing on that committee. And of course, Ann and I, we were fortunate that we've gotten a fair amount of grants for this project. So I look forward to seeing it go forward. Once again, thank you so much, and keep moving forward.
Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Goebel, 1402 West Ridge Road, Greensboro, North Carolina. Thought I'd give you a quick update. I'm 75% of the way of getting my signatures, which is 2,136 signatures. I should be able to make that, so by March 4th. So I'm excited to be on the ballot in November. And also, I was very honored to donate $500 to Oak Ridge Elementary School for their Christmas concert and be one of their sponsors and sit there and listen to those young people give a tremendous concert. That's all I got to say. Thank you for all the work that you do for this organization. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? With that, we'll close out the period for public comment, and we'll move to council comments. Mr. Greason?
I just want to let the people of Bear Creek know I visited the site on Wednesday and Thursday, so see where you're coming from. So,
Mayor Pro Tem Stone?
Yeah, couple things here. Is Michael Logan still here? I think. Oh, he might have left. Oh, no, there he is. Michael Logan. So, thank you for, you don't have to come up. No, just sit. So, thank you for this information. And I know that, politics comes into play here, but we're really thin on funding schools in the Northwest area. I mean, this $2 billion list, and there's just one Northwest school on there. I know you're working on it, and I thank you for that, but something just ought to be called out. The second thing is, Sandra, do we have, what are the plans for early voting at the town hall? Do you know? It will be open.
every day for the, excuse me, thank you, most every day during the approximately 2-week period, and then we will be open on Election Day as well. And that is for people to vote. Early voting, you may vote anywhere. On Election Day, you must vote in your precinct.
Okay. We have plans for outreach with the Board of Elections. Do you know?
As far as?
Well, typically, I see it on like Nextdoor and the Northwest Observer, with the Northwest Observer doing once a month now. I don't know what our plans are to make sure the citizens know that they can come here.
Well, we always post it on our social media sites, and we put a sign out on the door. If anyone has questions, of course, we get lots and lots of phone calls during election time.
Right.
And even though we don't work for the Board of Elections, we try very hard to field all those questions.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. The last thing that I've got, I walked the Bear Creek area and the Ashford area. I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit the comment about getting the town and the citizens together. I do understand staff and town council not being able to do this. What about town volunteers, the people with Parks and Rec or the people with the Trails Committee? Would that be inappropriate?
No, committees serve at the pleasure of council, and within their area of designated work, the town can request them to do appropriate tasks.
So with that, I would like for us, and I'm not going to make a motion at this point, I would like for us to think about, is that the right thing to do to help facilitate and move conversations forward and facilitate building bridges? I don't know if we want to, let me finish the comments here. The other part is, I got an overwhelming response to, thank you for filling up my email and phone messages, overwhelming response in support of removing the easement. It was just a tremendous number of people. I got 3 people that talked about trails, okay? And I tried to point out to the folks, and I want to make sure that everybody here understands that the folks that were speaking in favor of trails, I haven't heard anybody speak against trails, okay? The benefits of hiking and the outdoors and everything, everybody agrees with. This is an 8-foot wide, 790-foot long strip of land. That's all it is. It's 0.14 acres. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about a large swath of land or anything like that. And if you walk the property and you go out there and you talk to the people that live there, there are so many different options and opportunities and alternatives. I just think it's in our best interest to talk to the people that are directly impacted by it and talk to those people that think that they're impacted by it about trails and they're not, and how we can come to a consensus, a middle ground. Build bridges, right? We've heard that a lot. So I just want us to do more than what we should and everything that we could to help facilitate a better outcome.
Mr. Harden?
Thanking George for his comments, but the real credit goes for the interlocal agreement goes to these 2 gentlemen here, as well as the terrific Water Advisory Committee. It's been an interesting process over the last almost 2 years for me, and they really have done a great job of addressing that issue and bringing it to council today. Going back to the Veterans Honor Grain, I'm not Baptist, so I didn't quite understand all the issues there. I just want to recall what Mr. Walraven said at one of our previous council meetings. The Walravens, and as well as some families I'm connected to, have made significant investments in the Veterans Honor Green. And we did that understanding the project as it was presented, which was a complete project. So I just want to recall to this council and to those in attendance that those funds were provided, from those families based on the original proposal for a complete, not phased, Veterans Honor Green. Thank you.
Ms. Schneider?
Thank you. Just to clarify, for those of you who may not be familiar with the project, Phase 2 of the Veterans Honor Green, all of the monuments and everything is Phase 1. Beautiful. Phase 2 is a boardwalk going into the Pines with some benches in it and possible other information posted along the way that would provide a place for reflection and coolness in the summer months. So I want to say once again, the volunteer dinner was just fantastic. It was just a wonderful celebration of so many great things about our town. I want to respond to something Councilman Stone said, Mayor Pro Tem Stone said. I would not be in favor of asking our committees to get involved in this negotiation because it's both a somewhat political issue to some extent, but it's a legal issue at this point. And I wouldn't want to put them in that position. I would also point out that Parks and Rec has no role in this whatsoever. This right now is a zoning issue, and that's why it was handled by planning and zoning. And MST, typically, the committee doesn't become involved in any public trail until it's time for construction. In other words, they don't have a role in the policy. So I would encourage all of us as council members to talk to staff, and I may be speaking out of turn, but if I'm correct, I would love for us to do the right thing by our committees. I think the best way for us to move forward, and I want to thank everyone who sent me emails. I take all of them very seriously, and I would like to continue the conversation with each of you. And I think each of us as council members working either independently or in twos, because we can meet together, 2 of us at a time without it being an open meeting, can have those conversations. On a personal note, most of you have probably noticed that I'm running in the GOP primary for North Carolina State House in our district, which is the 62nd district. And I wanted to say a couple things about that. First of all, after redistricting, a lot of people are confused about what district they're in. So the 62nd district now includes all of Oak Ridge, all of Stokesdale, all of Summerfield, all of Colfax, the northwest portion of High Point, which is 3 precincts, and areas of Greensboro around Friendly and the airport, and the northern portion adjacent to Summerfield. If you have questions about whether you're in the district or not, you can look it up online or ask me how to do that, or I'm sure town staff would know how to do that as well. And early voting is going to be at most area locations, including here at Town Hall, at Burr Mill, and Deep River, and it will go from February 15th through March 2nd. So that's a Saturday, and then it closes until statewide primary day on Tuesday. And I would invite anyone who's curious about my campaign to contact me. I'd be happy to tell you what I stand for and how I will serve this district. But my most important message is that I will get things done in Raleigh because I have the background in this district, the policy experience, and the moral backbone to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, if you can donate blood, please do. One thing I want to clarify a little bit with the easement. The town, regardless of how it may be perceived, cannot require an easement. We cannot require an easement. If you had spoken with the developers that were here earlier, I had sat on planning and zoning and also in town council, where I have specifically asked that developer if they would offer an easement, and sometimes they said yes, and sometimes they said no. So there's no requirement. Any developer that knows what's going on knows that yes, we're going to ask, and we're going to encourage, and we're going to campaign, but any of those developers know that they can say no. And it has no impact on their plat. It has no impact on any of that stuff. We encourage and we push hard, but there is no strong arming and there is no requirement to have easement. The key thing is our easements are opportunity driven. So one of the things that has to happen, most people haven't even mentioned it here, is if anything's going to change, it's someone that owns the property, and that means the developer. So the developer has to be brought into the conversation if there's going to be any change in where that easement goes. So either the ownership of that property needs to change or the current owner has to be engaged. So that's why our lawyer is cautioning us to be very careful about how involved we get, because it's basically the developer or the owner of that land that has to agree to move the easement. If the ownership of that land were to change, I know just about everybody I'm aware of would be happy to entertain a conversation of moving that easement. So if someone else owned that land and they said, hey, would you mind if I move the easement this way or that way? I am certain we would be very open to entertaining that option. But like I said, we're opportunity driven when it comes to easements. So if a developer's not willing to give the easement, we don't get an easement. If a developer says, I'm going to give you 8 feet, they give us 8 feet. We're not requiring it. So our ordinance does not require a 20-foot wide easement. It's whatever they want to give us. I walked the property. I think there might have been one mature tree that might have to be taken down to make a trail, because most of the trees can be walked around while still staying within the easement. But I don't want to belabor the point more. The main thing is, whatever discussions are necessary to explore alternatives has to involve the developer. That's the only way that easement's going to move to an alternative location, is the property owner decides to say, I'd like to move it over here, I'd like to move it over there. And like I said, I don't know anyone that would not be open to discussing if a developer came in and said, hey, can I move it here, can I move it there, and so on down the line. So like I said, without the developer's involvement, we can say, yeah, the easement would work better over here, but we don't own the land, so we can't say the easement goes here. I can't say the easement goes there. I can say, the trail committee themselves will tell you they'd much prefer it over here or over there, but we're really stuck with basically what the developer wants to give us. So that's where that is. The other comment is, all our public amenities are in someone's backyard. Our town park is in people's backyards. The school is in people's backyards. The lights from the school are shining in people's backyards, and the youth association has to deal with that. So all our amenities are always in someone's backyard. Even if we move this easement, it's going to be in someone's backyard or their side yard. So I think we have to understand that if we want trails, they're going to be in someone's backyard. So that, anything else? Did you want to say something? Oh, I thought you might want to say, I'm happy.
Unless you want to make the meeting longer, no.
No, I thought you might want to make a comment, and I'd be happy to
I
hear it.
do, but I'm not going to.
Okay, that's fine. All right, with that, that's all I said. Like I said, it's important that we involve all parties, and if you're not involving all parties, we're not going to get any alternatives. So like I said, I understand I'm belaboring the point, but without the developer's involvement, there are no alternatives. You can't move an easement unless the property owner agrees to it. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Before we make a motion to adjourn, yeah, I am going to jump in. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I can't let that comment go. If we're going to entertain moving an easement, if we have a new owner, if the current owner wants to close it or move it, why wouldn't we entertain that?
To be honest, we are entertaining
Okay.
it. We may not agree with it. What I'm saying is, in May, we will entertain removing the easement. So we will be entertaining removing the easement. But as far as dealing with alternatives, unless the property owner is involved, there are no other alternatives.
The property owner is involved.
But what I'm saying is...
Can I
the
jump in on this?
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
This is council comments. We all got a chance to have our comments. This, if we're going to discuss it, it should be an agenda item. I think it's time to adjourn.
I slightly disagree. We can have conversations at the end of our meetings. We traditionally have comments, but I think actually back and forth is not unheard of. But like I said, unless, you have something else. Okay. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.